Getting it real with RealChunWai on the hottest topics, frank, engaging and candid. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. She is making her first appearance in the general election. These medical scientists will contest in Putrajaya, the seat of the federal government. Please welcome Dr. Noraisha Mydin Abdul Aziz from Pakatan,
Malaysia,
Harapan,
and followers from around the world. Our guest for tonight is Dr. Noraisha Mydin Abdul Aziz, a medical scientist and senior lecturer from the University Malaysia's Medical Faculty. She teaches at the Parasitology Department at the university. She's also a spina bifida patient rights advocate. She was in fact born with spina bifida, a condition that affects the spine and is usually apparent at birth. Dr. Noraisha, who studied at the Asanta School in PJ during her teens, went on to have her tertiary education at University Kebangsaan, Malaysia, and then obtained her PhD at the University of London in medical biotechnology, specializing in developmental neurobiology. She is believed to be the first person with disabilities to run for office in a general election. Please welcome Dr. Noraisha. Okay, Dr. Noraisha, before we dive into the conversation on politics, can you briefly introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. RealChunWai. Thank you very much.
Just call me Chunwai.
That's okay. That's okay. For Malaysians, we have to be polite. Thank you very much for having me today. I will try my very best to answer your questions. And as usual, I seek forgiveness from the audience because I am brutally blunt. Some may not like my demeanor, but I hope that for the betterment of Malaysia, people are willing to listen to me openly. All right. Great. So a little bit about myself. I'm 100% KL born, KL bred. 1975, 3rd of May, I'm a Taurus, born at the Hospital Besar Kuala Lumpur and now called Hospital HKL. My case was transferred to University Hospital, which is now called Pusat Perubatan Universiti Malaya, but at that time was University Hospital when I was 9 months old because my parents live at Old Klang Road, Taman Desa, and so it was just a little bit crazy for my mom to be rushing to work, etc. With HKL. So she felt that she was, she could handle things better, and also because my father died when I was very young. I was only 2 years old, so my mom couldn't cope with memories of my dad at the PJ house, and so she then moved all of us. The house in Taman Desa wasn't even ready yet, but she moved us anyway, and so that began my life in Taman Desa Old Klang Road from the age of 2 until 27. 27 years old, I left for England. I went off to do my PhD on neural tube defects, specifically the molecular basis of adhesion and fusion and closure of the spinal neural tube. I love saying that. I overall, I've had an extremely brilliant time in school. I love school. I love everything to do with school. I love knowledge. And so then I've spent the last 15 years being a lecturer at the Faculty of Medicine, University of Malaya. I do not have an associate professorship because I don't know why no one wants to promote me. That is the truth to God honest answer, which is absolutely fine. I've always focused on 3 things, mainly, protection of patients. I think patient dignity, number 1 above all else. Number 2, I've always said that you must always champion your students. And number 3, I think the most neglected but most important member of academia, which contributes a lot to academia, are actually the experimental animals. And I think this is another sore point for me personally because we are not looking after them as well as we should. And so overall, I think I'm a carer. I care a lot about things. I feel very passionately about things. And if it means offending people in order to champion all those 3 points, I really don't care.
Okay. Now, I need you to tell me a bit about spina bifida and the difference between the sclerosis. We all are quite familiar.
Oh my
Now,
God, you have a Siberian Husky.
here you go. Who's moving around checking. What was it like growing up with that kind of disabilities, and how did you cope with that as a child?
Right.
And at what age did you discover you had that problem?
Okay. Well, I'm sure you've read my editorial. I have
Yeah.
spina bifida and what this means to Malaysia. All right then. So growing up with spina bifida, since I lost my father when I was very young, my world really consists of my mother, my brother, my sister, and my paternal grandmother. So my dad's mom. She raised us, because my mom was a full-time, she had to work. My mom was a, the sole breadwinner of the family. So my grandmother, my dad's mom, was the one who raised us at home and looked after us overall. And so I never really gave a toss about disability because my grandmother had one arm. She lost one arm during the Japanese occupation. They were in Penang. They was during a bomb raid during the Japanese occupation, and she was rushing. She was carrying my dad. Splinters from the bomb hit her arm, and she lost the arm. And apparently, my mom said that even my dad had scars on her back for as long as she's known him, and I've seen this woman, this amazing woman, cook the most delicious crab curry on planet Earth, and the way that she prepares the crab, like the crab is being held by her foot, and she does one parang and boom. So and her food has always been great. So I've never seen it as something lacking, and so growing up, I crawled a lot. I think the first thing that bothered me, I thought, was like, why should it bother other people that I'm sitting on a pram? But this is where my mother was very unique, because she never transitioned me from a pram to a wheelchair. What she did was she put me in a boot camp, the boot camp of physiotherapy. And she's extremely bright. My mother's an archivist by profession. My dad was a librarian. And so, in fact, the first head librarian of University Kebangsaan was my father. Founding member of UKM. And so my mom, she found a physiotherapist who also happened to run a kindergarten. And so I was sent off to this madame's, kindergarten, and given strict instructions that I needed to exercise every single day. And yeah, but that in essence really was the basis of why over time, from the age of 4, 5, 6, that I was just exercising, that I walked throughout my education system in Malaysia with the help of orthoses. So orthoses are artificial, basically kasut istimewa. Yeah, so basically they are those metal bits. You can call them calipers, or a better name for them is knee, ankle, foot orthoses. So these give a support and strength to the legs, and so I got so used to them because I was just expected. It was never a choice. It was like I have to walk. There was never a question of ever being on a wheelchair. It was, you got to learn to walk because you're going to school. And so I was fitted with knee, ankle, foot orthoses and shoes very, very early on in life. And I was just forced to do my daily activities in them. And so what I didn't know at that time was I was actually gaining muscle and strength all the while, and so it is with these orthoses that I've been wearing throughout kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and then off to pre-university, and then off to UKM, and then off to London, and then back to Malaysia, and then off to postdoctoral fellowship. It was all with a knee, ankle, foot orthosis, and has kept my legs in good working order. There are no contractions whatsoever, and contractions are nasty bits. And this is why I really try to advocate for children like myself, that they must be put upright and be trained, to exercise and be active as early as possible in life. So
Okay, Dr. Noraisha.
Sorry, so
Now,
long.
okay, I need to ask you this.
Yep.
Now, you have been picking up on these issues as an advocate, and now you will talk about when you were introduced as a candidate for Pakatan Harapan, you mentioned that you were really upset because your team of researchers have been denied every single application of grant by the Ministry of Higher Education for research. Tell us a bit of your frustrations.
Okay, so I came back with my PhD in December of 2006. Okay, so I kept on the ball, on time. Okay, I'm very ikut peraturan kind of person. You will also realize I never had any social media until Pakatan Harapan won, in 2018. So I was very follow the rules sort of person. And so my letter says I have to be back by this and this and time, which I did. And so I had my viva in April, I think, of March or April of 2007. After all the corrections were done, etc., it was a bona fide PhD by the 31st of August 2007. I was very proud because my examiners had written, and these were, outstanding people in their fields. I was vivaed for 3 hours and 15 minutes by Professor David Wilkinson, who's a leading expert on Fs and Ephrins, which is the biggest group of receptor tyrosine kinases, and also by Professor Paul Martin, a very interesting chap whose first paper was on wound healing. Amazing people that I can talk science forever and ever and ever. Anyways, after this highly exciting time in my life, procuring a PhD on my condition, meeting the best minds in the field, and in general, what made me really proud was because they said that this started as an Andy Kopp lab. So Professor Andy Kopp was my PhD supervisor. So they said it started off as a Kopp lab, a typical Kopp lab thesis, but it did not end as one. And finally, they wrote my report that I defended my thesis with such a verbosity and knowledge, that I had encyclopedic knowledge on the subject matter, and so that made me really proud. 3 hours and 15 minutes of pure science. All right.
But back to Malaysia, you're not getting any money for your research.
Back to Malaysia, I then knew very early on that there was a game that was being played. But I had only one thing and one thing alone, that I wanted to expand on my science. I love my science. I needed to know as much as I could about spina bifida. And so I felt that the best thing I could do, in order to advance science, because I wasn't going to, I didn't want to end up under the thumb of anyone. I didn't want to end up under the thumb of anyone who then would decide for me what I should or should not do for my science. I knew I needed to build my lab because the equipments weren't available. I had to procure this all by myself. And so what I did was I started writing grants very, very early on, right? And I knew the game. The game was Ministry of Higher Education would only give 1 grant per lecturer, so to speak, right? And so I wanted to beat their system. So I strategized and I started writing about everything under the sun that I could. I would write for other people as a proxy, and I said, I don't really care whatever it is, I will do the work. I will put your paper on the eventual, publication, etc. But I'm going to be the one controlling the money. I wanted the money because I wanted to build my labs, and that was what I left the Department of Parasitology. I left 3 labs at the Department of Parasitology, all with functioning equipment, which is still functioning, well, parasitology wasn't my first department.
Mm.
I was sent off to
Okay.
the UK under Scheme Latihan Academic Bumi Putra,
Okay.
under the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine. At that time, it came under the auspices of the Allied Health Science Department. Sorry, yeah, that's right.
Okay,
So it was,
doctor.
yeah.
Now, sorry to cut it short. Now, that was the reason why you were really upset at the academic life. Now
No,
you
I'm
have
upset
taken
at the academic life because the Ministry of
the
Higher Education,
okay. You have
over the years, what they did was they then decided to put a screening system. The first year that I did my grant writing, out of 5 grants, I got 4.
mhm.
And then
Now,
after
okay.
that, they introduced the Myra system and they introduced the screening system at the level of the university. And the person who took over wasn't very supportive of people who didn't practice patronage. And I
Okay.
was never ever going to practice patronage. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Dr. Noraisha, sorry, I got to move on beyond your academic life.
My
Okay.
answers
Sorry
are
about
so
it.
long.
I know you're very passionate about it, but I need to.
I'm very angry because for 9
Yeah.
years after that, I didn't get a grant from the Ministry
Okay.
of Higher Education. I only got it again when Mazli Malik became the minister for 5 seconds, and his personal assistant was the one who pushed for my birth defects projects, and that also was just for the fundamental. So I got 2 grants under fundamental research project, one under my name, one under a surgeon whom I collaborate with, actively. And then after that, when Tabo Atap came in, the Atap government came in, that was the end of getting any more grants after that. And I'm angry because I get to the finals of the defense. Why ask me to write why ask me to write all these great grants, and then after that say I was absolutely brilliant at the presentation at the ministry level, and then after that you don't give the money to me? It's terrible.
Okay, hang on, Dr. Noraisha. Okay, I gotta put a stop to that because you are contesting in the general election, but you're gonna tell the voters of Putrajaya what are you standing for. It can't be just about your academic frustrations.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
What are you standing for?
I am standing for overall is to answer the gaps. Okay, I am there to solve people's problems. I have a set of skills. I know what to do. I know how to overcome problems. I want to help people. I want to look after people. That is my own manifesto. But of course, in order for me to be able to enhance my manifesto, I must then win the hearts of my Putrajaya folks. That's exactly what I have been doing for the past few days. Non-stop, mind you.
Putrajaya is an unusual constituency compared to other constituencies in this country because that it is a urban area and it has got 42,000 voters. Most of them are government servants. So when we think of Putrajaya, we only think of all those government buildings. I just want to ask you, I mean, for me, I only know Putrajaya as all those administrative blocks. But are there voters beyond these government servant kind of buildings and everything?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I had been trying to figure out from day one. Which is why whenever I go for my walkabout, I give away my own personal WhatsApp number to everyone.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm insane in that sense.
Okay.
Because I want to get the job done. So in order for me to get the job done, I need to know what the issues are. But I need to know the issues from as many people as possible. And the best way to do that is to have personal conversations with them via WhatsApp.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I've been doing. And so I would disagree that it is only the Penjawat Awam. There are many other people who live in Putrajaya. There are children of these Penjawat Awam who are not Penjawat Awam, who are now going to be voting in general elections 15, who have completely different concerns than their mothers and fathers. I've also, a set of children, right, who are growing up in Putrajaya, in Putrajaya schools. In fact, shout out to them for sitting for their Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia, Bahasa Malaysia paper tomorrow. In fact, I spoke to some of them today. And so I am excited because, there was one kid at this complex Kejiranan in precinct 16. He knew exactly who I was. And in fact, he followed me and started making a video of what I was doing.
Great.
Yeah. So there are all these young people that needs to be looked after. And that is what I am really, really good at, looking after people. Okay.
In your interaction, the past 1 day or 2 day of campaigning, generally government servants,
Brilliant.
maybe government servants are generally they want to play safe. They may not be so vocal in expressing their concerns
Yes.
and their
In
happiness.
fact, a number
Do
of them
you
came
think
to
that
see me. A number of them came to see me.
they're prepared to push the envelope this time?
Yes, because a number of them came to see me. A number of them expressed that, please make sure that in your manifesto, number one, that government pejawat awam are not to be persecuted, irrespective of which government comes into power. So that is what I have been working my tail off this past few days, trying to get everyone's voice together in a very coherent manifesto, which would serve exactly what the Putrajaya folks want. It is not a bunch of lies. It is a facts based on what is in the hearts of the Putrajaya voters. That is what I was trying to find out. And now I am putting together a 5-point manifesto that is specific to the needs of the Putrajaya people. Which is why I say to everyone, I am not an OKU activist. I just happen to be running for the general elections and I have a disability. And the reason why in the past I am able to say as much as I want about spina bifida, because I am the only person on planet Earth with spina bifida, with a PhD on spina bifida, who actively does research on spina bifida, who also have all collaborators from all different parts of the world who work on spina bifida. So no one can tell me that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because I do. But now this is a completely different playing field, Dato' Wong. It is...
No, you are taking on you have been looking at what you have said and reading up about you. You really have been a fighter all your life. Now you're taking on a very big fight.
Absolutely. I have survived 13 surgeries. I have survived 3 brain surgeries out of that 13. So don't mess around with me. I know what I am doing. I know how to look after myself. I am in tip-top health. Thank you very much. I do not expect people to push my wheelchair. I'm able to do my own thing on my own. All right. I'm just much loved and supported by my students past and present. And
you're in a six corner fight.
Yes,
which includes Tunku Adnan from Barisan Nasional. He has been there all the time. Then you have Dato' Radzi Jidin, the Bersatu Vice President.
On the voting ballot, he put his name as Dr. Radzi Jidin. He didn't.
And the Berjasa Deputy President. It's a six-way fight.
Yep.
Are you sort of like being intimidated by all these big names?
Not at all. I don't care. I mean, I went to my press conference with Dato' Sri Anwar and Rafizi Ramli and all these people, and I'm like, I said my piece.
Okay.
And
there was when I sort of like, wow, I got to talk to this lady.
But this lady, Hadibani, has been around forever. And no one has picked me out of oblivion other than Rafizi Ramli. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? This is a new era for Malaysia. This is an era, Malaysia, for Malaysians, for all Malaysians. And the only reason why I am doing what I'm doing and what I've done really is that ever since Rafizi Ramli started Ayuh Malaysia, I told all my friends, look, this is it. This is the crunch. There's no holds barred. I am going to do everything in my power on social media to push him into the government of Malaysia. That was my promise to myself. So all the good work that I did, I would put hashtag Hidup Malaysia NTD, hashtag Ayuh Malaysia.
How did you get involved into politics?
I didn't. I just championed my work.
And who picked you up as a candidate? Did the Rafizi approach you, or someone from PKL who says, look, I need this?
Like I told you, my promise was to support anything and everything that came out of Rafizi Ramli's mouth during this Ayuh Malaysia period. So the moment that our parliament was being dissolved, right, during this monsoon season, I was on my way back from Johor because I just spent 6 days with my students on my own personal leave collecting data on spina bifida patients in Johor. And then on the drive back, Parliament dissolved, Rafizi has a press conference and say, well, I'm opening up calon keadilan to the whole
Okay.
entire country.
I see. Okay.
And so all I did was screenshot that page and say, I'm going to register as an ordinary member. I wasn't even a member of any political party. But as a penjawat awam, legally, I am able to register as an ordinary member. Right? 3 days after my tweet went super viral, right? And then I had registered, and that also went viral because I'm a loving person. So the lovely lady helped me, the security lady at the Keadilan headquarters. I took a photograph with her, and that again resonated with the people of Malaysia, and it just went viral again, right? And so then 3 days, not long after that, I started getting all these tweets, messages, personal tweets. And all these keadilan people were like getting in touch with me and like, what's going on? Because yeah, it's just what's going on. And so that night, Rafizi phoned me and said 4 vice presidents of keadilan have voted for me to be fielded in overnight. And then he asked me to get my University Malaya papers in order. And I never hesitated. I never hesitated because there's 2 things, Dr. Wong. There's 2 things here, all right? As a University Malaya academic staff who have been suppressed for 15 years, with my publication, with being well known on the international arena, but not even being and publishing regularly, and not even being able to procure an associate professorship. It's sort of like it told me that, well, I can't even offer a career progression for my students because I was a nobody in the hierarchy of academia. So if people want to pigeonhole me and put me in a corner just because I'm a very strong person, who has held on to my principles all my life, because again, the same thing happened when I was a child, because I was bullied when I was in kindergarten. I know the pain of being rejected. I know that very, very well. And it doesn't come as a surprise for me. But my promise back then was, dear God, dear Ya Allah, help me get my education. I promise you I will help everyone else with my condition. I will get as much knowledge and help. And so I kept my promise. I never, kowtowed to anyone, any forces. I remained true to myself. And I diligently only ask from the Almighty for guidance, help, and strength. And this is exactly what I am bringing to my campaign today. I really don't care about all.
What was your reaction? What was your reaction when they told you that you're going to contest in Putrajaya?
Oh, that one. I was like, whoa, you think I'm going to win? And then after that, Rafizi said, yeah, I think I'm going to win. And so I trust Rafizi Ramli. He's highly intelligent. I think he's the Winston Churchill of Malaysia. It's bloody amazing as far as I'm concerned, because I haven't met any politician ever who doesn't want to be a politician, yet sacrifices so much for the people of Malaysia. I mean, why on earth would someone like him, be okay with wearing purple overalls and being thrown into prison, but he does it anyway? His sense of conviction is, wow, oh my God. And that's exactly what I told my friends who were very worried. He said, Aisha, your Facebook posts and your Twitter posts are getting spicier by the day. And I said, I really don't care.
To hell, right?
It's not about going to hell. It's about going to heaven. I want to go to heaven.
No, you're just, I can detect your enthusiasm. You're really on fire, so to speak. Now, who have been helping you out in your campaign in Putrajaya?
This one. Dr. Wong, I'm very blessed. super blessed. Okay. Super blessed. Okay. My students are amazing, past and present. Everyone has always been supportive of me. In fact, my students are the one, over the years, during all my multiple surgeries, etc., they are the ones who admit me into hospital, take me out of hospital. They've cared for me, and given me back so much more than what I could have possibly given them. But at the same time, I must mention here one particular person in my machinery, Shafiq Anwar, who's a graduate. He has been absolutely brilliant. He has helped tremendously in my campaign. He has liaised with the grassroots machinery in Putrajaya, Keadilan. He has gone above and beyond every single time. And I'm not going to say that, I haven't hit butted with many at the grassroots. I have. I have an extremely strong personality. But I promise everyone, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying extremely hard to win this for all of us.
Okay, one final question before we
Yeah.
end this. Your thoughts and your message to the voters of Putrajaya, especially the civil servants, and to Malaysians or generally. What's your message to them?
My message is, you know what needs to be done if you want your country to survive. I think Malaysians are highly intelligent. They don't need to be told what to do. They already know what to do. No matter how I campaign, no matter what my manifestos are, I think people already know in the heart of hearts what has to be done. What's already been shown over the years, that is the true evidence. I can actually literally sit and relax, and I think, the voters would have already decided. But of course, I'm going to work very, very hard. I am working very, very hard. And I know that this campaign is going well. And as I told some reporters earlier this morning, the reason why I know this campaign is going really well is because of two reasons. Number one, I sleep really well, even though I may not have sufficient hours. I don't clock in my usual 6 hours of sleep, but wow, I sleep really well. That's number one. Number two, I look for signs. I have a rose garden at home, and I can't bring my rose garden to Putrajaya, but every morning, whenever I'm having issues, and if I see my roses bloom, I know that God is with me. Now I'm in Putrajaya. Every single walkabout, cats just come out in droves and come to me and sniff me up and ask for a pat and a hug. So I know that's God's way of saying, Aisha, chillax, you're doing really well. This is all the love that I need, So I think the universe speaks to us. What happens will happen. Ki sera sera.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for spending time with us. I know you're busy campaigning, and I wish you all the best. And we hope to see you around. To all Malaysians, good night. Please follow Dr. Noraisha on her social media and RealChunWai. Good night.
Thank you
Goodbye.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.